everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for returning. I appreciate you returning. So today I'm going to be talking about something very interesting. I quit my job, guys. I quit my job in January of 2023. So yes, today I'm going to be talking about why I quit my full-time job and how I have survived in Toronto, Canada for 6 months without a full-time job. Toronto, Canada is one of the most expensive cities in Canada. If you know anything about Canada, you know that Toronto is one of 2 most expensive cities in Canada. And so I will talk about how I survived for 6 months without a full-time job. You want to stick around to the end of this video because at the end of the video I will be sharing good news with you guys. Yay! I'm excited to be sharing this good news with you guys, but yes, you would have to stick around till the end of the video. They say there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think I have gotten to the end of my tunnel and there's light that I want to share with you guys, so stick around. So I will be sharing why I quit my full-time job. I will be sharing how I have survived in the past 6 months. I will also be sharing some tips for those of you who are looking for jobs in Canada. And then I will be sharing, of course, the good news that I said I was going to share with you. Firstly, I will share about my qualifications so that you guys know that it's not like I'm not qualified. I studied in the US for dual master's degrees, so I gained or earned dual master's degree, one in health administration and an MBA. So I've got an MBA as well as a master's in health administration or health systems management. So yes, I came to Canada in 2019. I got a job which I loved so much. Yes, I got a job after a few months, actually 8 months after landing in Canada. It was a long time, yes. But yes, I got this job which I loved so much. I loved my colleagues. Everyone was so helpful, super helpful. And I loved the mission. I loved what we did for immigrants and intending immigrants, right? So yes, I wouldn't mention the name of the organization so that, I wouldn't mention, but I'll be as real as possible. So yes, I loved my job up until 2021 when we were acquired by a bigger organization. So my job was a medium-sized organization, even though we were doing like big numbers in terms of revenue. And so because we were doing great, this big organization decided to acquire us, or rather the CEO of my former organization sold the company to a bigger organization. That was the beginning of what I would say hell for me and my colleagues. Yes, so once the company was acquired, we lost some of our bosses, some of our original colleagues, because the culture changed. There was a shift in culture. Like I said, the previous organization, before the acquisition, they were helpful colleagues, people were super nice. Yeah, it could get stressful, or it did get stressful sometimes, but we had helpful, super talented, intelligent colleagues. But when we were acquired, the new bosses didn't know anything about the company, didn't want to learn anything about the company, just wanted to be domineering, and of course, a lot of people left. So yes, my original colleagues left. My original bosses left. I was left to my workload increased, actually tripled. And so I was dealing with a heavy workload. I was dealing with mean bosses, and I had to, of course, start searching. Even before the acquisition, I started searching. But you know, when you're dealing with a heavy workload and you're searching for a full-time job, like they say, searching for a full-time job is already a full-time job. So dealing with a heavy workload and searching for a full-time job, it wasn't easy. But I continued searching. I got a few interviews here and there, but I wasn't getting anything. Anyway, the job had become even more toxic, and it got to the point where they kind of wanted wanted to demote me, so to speak. Like, gave me a different role that was not what I planned initially. And then there were no job, like, growth prospects. And so I thought, this is it. This was the time to look for, and I also thought I deserved better. And so I thought this was the time for me to look for something better. And since I wasn't getting anything while applying, I said, okay, what's going to happen? I'm just going to quit. But before then, a few months before I quit, I got a part-time job. I would say a part-time job, just a few hours as a business manager for a small firm. And I got that, but still, that wasn't paying me. It couldn't even pay my rent. If you live in Toronto, you will know that rent is expensive. So my rent is about 1,800 Canadian dollars in a month. If you're from Nigeria, do the math and see how much that costs in Naira. So yes, this part-time job was great, but it couldn't pay for my bills. So I had to keep looking for a job. Anyways, in January of 2023, so I got this part-time job in October, but in January of 2023, I quit my full-time. I didn't have another one. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I thought that I deserved more. I thought that I couldn't continue to deal with the toxic situation, and I thought it was time for me to search for the more that I deserved. Of course, people around me were like, are you sure you want to do this? This is brave of you. How are you going to survive? I will tell you in a minute how I survived. I will also share my mental state of mind while I was applying. And yeah, so stay with me, stick with me. So when I quit my job, firstly, I really wanted to unpack. So when I quit my job in January of 2023, I took some time to just sleep, wake up, eat, like relax. I took a while. So for the next month till like end of February, I was just relaxing. I just wanted to unpack. I just wanted to relax and, you know, think about my next steps. I thought about so many things. What do I want to do now? You know, what was my next step? But I knew that I deserved more. I knew that I deserved more in terms of compensation. I also knew that I deserved more in terms of my value and my worth. Remember, I said I have 2 master's degrees. I thought that I needed something like a return on investment for my master's degrees. Aside from that, I had gained years of experience since I came to Canada. So I was a manager in my previous role, and I thought it's time to go to the next level. Anyways, to be honest, I was anxious because I did not know what the next move, like this move I was making, was going to come. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I had God. I'm Christian, and so I believed that God would not leave me hanging. Now, how I survived, like I said, I got this part-time job in October, so I was doing the part-time and full-time together. And once I quit the full-time, I had the part-time. But trust me, the part-time was nothing because it was just a few hours a week, and it couldn't even pay my rent for a month. So what I did was I started applying. I applied to so many jobs. But the difference between applying without a full-time job and applying with a full-time job is, without a full-time job, I had time on my hands to apply. And I had time to prepare for interviews. So I got a lot of interviews. I don't think in my lifetime I have gotten this many interviews in the space of a few months. So I got a lot of interviews, but as I was getting interviews, I was excited because I was getting interviews. But the thing is, I was getting interviews, but I was getting to the last final stage. Some of them, of course, were rejecting me up front, but there were some where I was so hopeful. I would get to the final stage and they would just send me a rejection letter. So it was demoralizing, trust me. And then the first few months, so in February, March, I was still okay. I was still hopeful something's going to come up. But when I started getting to April and nothing was coming up and I was getting rejection back and forth, I started getting demoralized. I started getting anxious. You know, I remember telling one of my aunties saying that I was done. God is not listening to me. I was done praying. And she said, no, you can't be done praying. You can't. I don't like it when you say this. So yes, I started getting anxious. Middle of the night, I'll wake up and say, God, when are you going to listen to me? Now, this brings me to something else. How did I survive with my bills in this month, right? Like I said, the part-time job was not giving me so much money. So how did I survive with my bills? This brings me to something that I have talked about on my page, if you follow me on Instagram: emergency funds. The importance of emergency funds cannot be overemphasized. Everyone living abroad needs to have something set aside for emergency. Now, what I did was, sometime last year in 2022, I started putting aside some money in my emergency fund. So I opened a separate bank account. Opened a totally separate bank account. This is an online bank account. I don't know, for those of you who are familiar with EQ Bank, it's an online bank account, no interest rates. They actually give you some interest on what you save. So I put that aside, and I was putting in some money into that. That was my emergency fund. So for those of you who want to quit, who are in a toxic situation at your job and you want to quit your job, yes, it's good. I would always advise you to move from toxic situations, but you need to plan for it. And so I planned, but even if I planned, I had money in my emergency funds, but I only had money for just 3 to 4 months. So I only planned for 3 to 4 months, but usually you're supposed to have at least 6 months worth of money that would pay for your bills and all your expenses. I just had 4 months, I think, and I had some money in my Bitcoin wallet, and then I had some money in some investments. So yes, anyway, the importance of emergency funds, guys. I know it is hard to save, especially in an economy that, right now there's inflation. Everybody, everything is very expensive, but you need to be intentional about keeping something aside from your salary every month for emergencies. You cannot, it is non-negotiable. You cannot afford not to do that. Anyway, I don't want this video to be too long. I'm going to continue. So, how I survived mentally. Trust me, like I said before, there were days when I was so anxious, I didn't want to pray to God. And then it is very important here, I want to say this, it's very important, the people that you surround yourself with when you are searching for a job or you are searching for something. It is very important. For my friends who were with me, I want to use this opportunity to say thank you so much for the encouragement. So most of the people that I surrounded myself with just kept encouraging me. They just kept supporting me. You know yourselves, if you're watching, they just kept supporting me and saying, don't worry, something is going to come up. Something is going to come up. I remember one day I was on the phone with one of my friends, and someone asked me, well, what's your strategy? My friend actually got mad at that. Like, what are you asking strategy? I have done everything right. I'm getting interviews. It's not like I'm not getting interviews. I'm interviewing well. So really, I was doing my best. Because from one interview to the other, I was learning things that I was improving on my interview skills. Yes, so I will say, if I should say so myself, that I was doing well during the interviews. It just happened that I wasn't a good fit, or they weren't a good fit for me. Anyways, so fast forward to April, some of my clients, I think before April actually, once I quit, some of my clients from my previous organization wanted me to work with them. But like I said, I wanted more. And so I turned down some of those offers. Yes, I know that a lot of us may not have the luxury to turn down offers. But because I still had my savings, it gave me the luxury to turn down some of the offers. So yes, I turned down some of those offers because I felt like I needed more in terms of compensation, and in terms of a good fit. Remember, I had just come out of a toxic situation. I didn't want to go back into another toxic situation or into another job that within the next 6 months I will be quitting. I really wanted to take my time to make sure that the job was a good fit for me, even as they were evaluating me to see if I was a good fit for the organization. There were some interviews that I knew that, nope, I'm not going to work with these people. I already knew during the interview that, no, I don't think I want to work with them. I know, I'm going to say this here, I know that a lot of people do not have the luxury because a lot of people don't have the savings, and that's why I say that it's important for you to keep some money aside for emergencies, such as quitting a job or such as being laid off. Remember, I wasn't laid off, so I wasn't entitled to employment insurance, and I wasn't given any severance package. So I had to dig into my savings to survive. Yes, the part-time job was giving me some money, but it was nothing compared to how much my monthly expenses are. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the tips that I would like to give those who are looking for jobs right now. Firstly, I will say that I empathize with you. If you're currently looking for jobs in Canada, the Canadian market is somehow, this is how I say it, it is just somehow. Now, I know people are online saying, oh, I'll help you get a job. It's easy to get a job, blah, blah, blah. You need to get a career coach. It's very good to get a career coach. But sometimes when you're doing everything right, you still would not get a job. Sometimes, some people are not as lucky as getting a job even after doing everything right. So, and then Canada doesn't have a lot of opportunities in terms of jobs, to be honest, compared to the US. The US has a lot of opportunities, but in Canada, there are not so many there's just in Toronto here or in Ontario, everyone is here. So it's very competitive. And then there are no jobs like that for qualified folks. And so we all have to compete, for some of these jobs. Yes. So the tips I would give is, firstly, to get interviews. What helped me was going on Indeed, going on LinkedIn, and searching for newly posted jobs. So you would see, you could filter it to show posted in the past 3 days, or posted in the past 1 week, or posted in the past 7 days. So you go and you just click on those jobs. Of course, you filter it based on the job role that so if you're looking for operations management roles or operations manager roles, you put operations manager, and then you see jobs, filter it to jobs that were just recently posted in the past 3 days. I found that was helping me get more interviews. Another thing is, of course, for your phone interviews, I would say that you should type out your answers to different behavioral questions. Some phone interviews actually ask behavioral questions. But 2 main things that you should be able to answer in a phone interview is why you think you are qualified for the role, why your past experiences and skills align with the job description, and why you think that they should hire you. You should be able to answer those questions, and then practice for some behavioral questions as well. Now, when you're doing all these things, of course, you could speak to a friend or two, do mock interviews with them. You could check all these other organizations, all these employment agencies like Access, there's some around, you could Google employment agencies in Canada or Ontario. Some of them help with resume, revamping your resume. Some of them help with mock interviews. You could do that as well. Now, when you do that and you are interviewing and you're getting interviews and things are not looking up, you're not getting calls, you could ask the interviewers for feedback and build on those feedbacks, right? But if you are doing everything right and you're so demoralized, please, I know it can be demoralizing, but I want you to stick to something. I want you to hear this. Someone told me while I was applying, he said, one, nothing has changed. Just time has changed. Like, just time has passed, sorry. Nothing has changed. Your worth still remains the same. Your credentials still remain the same. Nothing has changed about you. You are still valuable. Your credentials are still there. And so, do not let any rejection bring down your morale. I know it is difficult, but if I could do it, you can. So please, do not watch the people that you surround yourself with, especially during the period of searching. You need to surround yourself with people who will keep encouraging you, people who will keep cheering you on. I was very fortunate to have some people in my life to keep cheering me on. And then, pray to God. God, at the end of the day, God is still the supreme. I believe in God, and I believe that God's plans are better than mine. Yes, it was tough. Like I said, nights I couldn't sleep. Again, it was tough. There are certain times when I go grocery shopping, there are things I couldn't pick anymore because I was managing my money. Like, I was really being frugal. And so there are things I couldn't pick anymore. There were things like grapes. I love grapes, but there are times when I would go to the grocery stores and I wouldn't pick grapes anymore because I was really trying to survive. So yes, after a few months, in June, I think I got a call. I got several interviews, and in July, I got this interview that was so out of this world. It was so unusual. I will speak more about it. But yes, January, February, March, April, May, June, I was getting a lot of interviews. I think I got more than 50 interviews, to be honest. Rejections. And then, sometime in June, I got interviewed. Late June, I got this interview. It was for the first stage, was about an hour, asked me, regular behavioral questions and why I think I was a good fit. The second one was like a top grade interview. If you Google top grade interviews, they asked me questions. It was for 2.5 hours. They asked me questions from high school. What I enjoyed most in high school, my impact, who I looked up to in high school, why I chose the program or the course that I eventually, decided to choose. It was such a wholesome interview. They got to know me for me. They got to know me for what I would bring to the table. They got to know me for me, like my personality, more than just my credentials. And I really, for me, it was long. Like I said, it was 2.5 hours, but it was one of the best interviews ever. Anyway, so to the good news. The good news is I got the job. I not only got that job, I got several other leads where I now started turning down those jobs. So I remember just last 2 weeks, I told an employer, "Oh, I'm sorry, your salary range does not align with my salary range." And they were like, "Oh, okay, but we like you. Can we suggest some other opportunities for you?" I said, "Sure." They called me right after the interview, and then I was telling them, "Oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't align with my goals." And that was because I already got this job. Now, this job that I got, I'm so excited. I haven't started, but I'm so excited about the role, the compensation, what the role stands for. I'm going to be starting up the role it's a franchise. I'm going to be starting up this franchise in somewhere in Ontario, the eastern part of Ontario. I am excited for the challenge. It's going to be challenging for me, but I'm so excited. I love my boss already. Like, she's so sweet. And yeah, I'm excited. So I'm going to, end this video with saying it is hard to wait. It is hard to wait, especially when you're getting a lot of rejections. It is really hard. But I want to encourage you. Keep hope alive. If you need someone to encourage you, if you are going through the same thing, just, you can send me a DM on Instagram, Canada Express Entry Girl. Send me a DM. I'm happy to encourage you. I'm happy to, share some tips, some more tips with you. But keep hope alive. Screen the people that you talk to about it, and then pray to God. God will step in. Now, this video has gone longer than anticipated, but if you've got questions about how I survived, any tips, please leave your questions in the comments. Do not forget to like, do not forget to subscribe. I can do a part 2 of this video in case you guys have questions. But yeah, I'm gonna go now so that it doesn't go past 25 minutes. If you've got questions, leave your questions in the comments. Thank you so much for sticking around. I am so excited. I am happy. I know that the past few months have been tough on me, but I'm excited for what the next few months have in store. All right, bye guys. Do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to like. Thank you. Kisses.